NCIS may have subtly set up a spin-off featuring Tony and Ziva during its 21st season, despite the brief 10-episode run due to the writer's strike. In Season 21, Episode 6, titled Strange Invaders, a mysterious villain with extraterrestrial ties was introduced, which could connect to the threat faced by Tony's security firm in the upcoming spin-off, NCIS, Tony and Ziva. This series will follow Tony and Ziva across Europe after an attack on Tony's company. The connection between the two shows might be established through a shared antagonist, with Tony and Ziva potentially returning to NCIS in Season 22 to help investigate and link the storylines. This crossover could serve to reintroduce their characters before the spin-off's debut, tying their new series back to the original NCIS. NCIS may have already set up Tony and Ziva's spin-off story, and you missed it. NCIS may have already set up Tony and Ziva's spin-off story, and it might have been overlooked. Due to the writer's strike, NCIS Season 21 was a brief 10-episode season, but it still managed to pack a punch. It delivered a tribute episode to David McCallum's Ducky and the 1000th episode of NCIS. With such epic milestones, one tiny detail was easy to overlook, but it could lead to another epic installment of the franchise, making NCIS Season 21 all the more significant. There was a moment in NCIS Season 21 that suggested there could be a promising connection between the flagship series and Paramount Plus' NCIS, Tony and Ziva. The Tony and Ziva pilot could even cross over to NCIS, returning the franchise's fan-favorite characters to where it all began while closing a critical unsolved NCIS case. The opportunity for a connection between the series barely announced itself, especially considering it occurred in one of the most bizarre NCIS episodes ever. The confusing elements could have been a way to distract viewers while the episode subtly set up Tony and Ziva's spin-off story. The attack on Tony's security firm could connect to the villain from NCIS Season 21, Episode 6. The villain from NCIS Season 21, Episode 6, Strange Invaders is still at large. Reports about NCIS, Tony and Ziva have released many exciting details about the limited spin-off series. In its premiere, NCIS, Tony and Ziva will follow the agents as they run across Europe after an attack on Tony's security company from an unknown threat. The unknown threat could connect to another unknown threat from NCIS Season 21. In Episode 6, Strange Invaders, the Major Case Response Team, MCRT, had a series of paranormal encounters. A levitating killer murdered their victim with ammunition that had an extraterrestrial connection, and the alien tease almost broke the entire NCIS franchise. NCIS MCRT never traced the manufacturer, but it could lead to whoever planned an attack on Tony's security firm. While the paranormal connection seemed inevitable at one point, the team ultimately traced the attacker to an artificially intelligent drone that could murder on its own. The head of an artificial intelligence company, Daniel Silkett, revealed to the team that he developed the AI program for a weapon manufacturer in Sri Lanka, but that was all he knew about the people he had once worked with, who ultimately stole his technology and used it to create a deadly next-generation war machine. NCIS MCRT never traced the manufacturer, but it could be whoever planned an attack on Tony's security firm. How Tony and Ziva could tie into the Season 22 storyline. Tony and Ziva could return in Season 22 to launch their series. Tony and Ziva could factor into the NCIS Season 22 story, since their series could share a mutual threat with the MCRT. Tony and Ziva could feature in NCIS Season 22 after the attack on his firm, reaching out to their old agency for any potential leads they have on their attacker. The teams could discover that they share a mutual threat, and therefore, Tony and Ziva could return to the bullpen to help the team investigate. Their return to Washington headquarters could be a potential temporary haven for them and their team before returning to Europe to investigate. Tony and Ziva appearing on NCIS could be a way to re-establish their characters before NCIS, Tony and Ziva debuts on Paramount Plus. Featuring Tony and Ziva would be a clever way to promote the offshoot, which will be the first to be on a streamer rather than air on CBS. Even if Tony and Ziva don't launch their series on NCIS, the agents could feature sometime in NCIS Season 22 before their spin-off as a way to bring back the fan-favorite characters in the mothership. Tony and Ziva's NCIS Season 22 role could bring NCIS, Tony and Ziva's premise full circle. NCIS, Tony and Ziva needs a tie to NCIS.